I can flip through a Marvel book and find you advertisements for every TV show that's going on, for every movie that's out every single month. Same thing for DC.
Right.
Why it doesn't translate the other way around makes no sense, and they need to fix it. I'm talking to Marvel and DC right now. Advertise your books.
Please.
More so than just in the books. Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is episode 69 of the new Coffee and Comics show. As you can see, I'm not alone. I got my good friend Bob. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing well today. How about yourself, Bueller?
I am doing really good. Episode 69, one more to 70, and that'll be a significant number. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it's nice having you back yet again. But let's go ahead and start off with what we always start off with, the coffee that we are drinking today. Mm-hmm. And the coffee I'm drinking is by Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of Comics with Bueller. And what am I drinking today? A simple black coffee.
Can't go wrong with that.
I like it. It's been raining for like 5 days straight,
yep.
And I just need some regular coffee, and that's what I got. What about you?
There we go. I got myself a cold brew today. I got a little bit of hazelnut, sugar-free hazelnut sweetener inside of it. And this is like my third cold brew of the day, and
nice.
I'm loving it.
You're all jacked up on coffee?
I'm jacked up on coffee yet again.
That's my line. He's stealing it, but that's okay. We got a lot of stuff to go over today. We got a great topic to talk about. We're going to talk about what we can do as the comic book community to prevent a comic book crash. And we will leave a timestamp down below, so if you just want to jump to that, you can. But we do have some housekeeping and some great comics to show, so we'll go ahead and get into that right now. First things first, the reason I brought up this being episode 69, next week's episode is 70.
70, great milestone.
And it is my 2-year anniversary to the date of being on YouTube.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much. It's been a great 2 years. Mm-hmm. And for the coffee episode to be the actual day, that is my 2-year anniversary and number 70. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm excited for that next week, and you'll be on here, and we might even have a special guest. I don't know. We'll see what we can do.
That would be great.
So please join us next week for the 2-year anniversary show of the new Coffee and Comics show. So should be a lot of fun. Some other things, I want to say thank you to the Patreons who are supporting the channel. Mm-hmm. At the end of the video, I'll do a shout out on you guys' names. Thank you so much. And next week, we'll kind of get into the Patreon thing because I wasn't going to officially launch that until the 2-year anniversary. And so next week, we'll talk about it a little bit more. I want to let everyone know that the auction winnings from this weekend are going out today. So those are on their way to you guys. I also want to say thank you so much to everyone who watched the video where I talked about how I got my comics for so cheap. You guys called the customer service line for TFAR, Thanks for Another World, so much they had to let me know. And I thought that was pretty good. A lot of orders were placed, so I mean, they appreciate it. I appreciate it. I didn't make any money off it. I have a link for it, but I never use it. So you guys got some great deals, so I think that's great. I also want to mention something that you're doing on your channel next Saturday, correct?
Next Saturday night, that is correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So next Saturday night, we're having another roundtable discussion. You remember in late December, we had a roundtable live stream with myself, with Bueller, from Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, and Sam from Sam's Tangled Web. And it was an awesome show. I mean, we had a lot of fun doing it. We cut it up for about 2 hours straight, just talking about comic books and the year in review. And we're going to do it again, folks. This time it'll be on my channel, on Everything Comics, this next Saturday night, February 8th, at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Nice.
Tune into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, the last one was a lot of fun. We covered the whole year 2019. He's the host this time, so it's pretty much whatever he wants to talk about. Like he said, his channel is Everything Comics. He's at about 450 subscribers right now. If you're not subscribed to him, the link is down below. Please go ahead and do so. But let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into our first 5. What we do, we show 5 comic books each at the beginning, and we do the final 5. We show 5 comic books at the end. And I'm going first because I already got one of my books up there.
Sure thing.
Okay, so first one up there is Black Panther number 6. Some nice old goodness right there. I like that one. We got some Thor number 247.
Nice book.
Who doesn't remember this one? Solo Avengers Hawkeye number 1. Come on. Everyone had that one. And Daredevil, just for you, Daredevil number 175. there you go.
That's some great Frank Miller action.
Just because I kind of like you, I figure I might as well put some Daredevil up there.
Appreciate it.
And then we have X-Men number 137. That's a nice key book they have right there. Not bad at all. So some nice older Marvel books I thought to put up this time. And we'll go ahead and let you do your first 5.
Yeah, Bueller coming out the Bronze Age love.
Yeah, man. I got some stuff.
Yeah, you do. So basically, I brought some kind of weird books. They had the Infinity Warps going on last year, and they kind of mashed a bunch of Marvel characters. This first one is Ghost Panther.
Ghost Panther.
I know, huh?
I showed Black Panther. You showed Ghost Panther.
I did.
Give me a break.
The next one is Weapon Hex.
What?
Yep. These are mashups. Next one we got is Iron Hammer.
I think that was an American Gladiator.
You think so?
Iron Hammer? Yeah,
That's right. Next one we got Soldier Supreme, a mashup between Doctor Strange and Cap. And then the last one, I think my favorite of all the mashups, was the Arachnite, which is Spider-Man and Moon Knight mashed up.
Nice.
So there's my first 5, folks.
There you go. You got some mashup books.
Come on.
All right. Those are pretty cool. I think mine were better.
They were. You got some Bronze Age love. You can't beat that.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our conversation. Mm-hmm. And our conversation, the question that we asked, how can we, as the comic book community, prevent a comic book crash? And the reason why we kind of are going back to this, because the first time we covered this subject, 9,000 people have watched that video.
Yeah.
Tons of comments, tons of responses, and I think we owe it to them to kind of revisit it because, honestly, we can't cover everything. And I wanted to pose the question as something that we could do, because the question that we had before was, what will happen if the comic book crash happens?
Right. Is there a crash coming?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So this is some of the stuff that we can do, and some of these comments actually reflect on industry stuff as well. I don't know how much pull we have on that market, but it is something I want to cover. So some of the stuff we can do ourselves, some of the stuff the industry has to do, and maybe we can, make a difference right here and now.
Absolutely. I'd like to say just really quick, we're not saying that there is a crash coming. We posed that question to speculate because a lot of people have talked about a possible crash, but this right here is such an important question because it engages us. What can we do? And I think it's just such an awesome time to be able to go ahead and ask this question and have our viewers chime in on that because this is our hobby. Yeah. So I think it's a great question.
And like I said last week, there's a lot of people that watch this video that you aren't aware who watched this video.
That's right.
You were contacted by someone in the industry. We don't want to give away their names or whatnot, but they contacted you and they watched the episodes and stuff. And I've been contacted by people in the industry that watch the episodes. And so these comments that we're reading, they're listening to these comments.
Yes, they are.
And maybe something will happen because of what we're saying. If so, great. If not, at least our voice is going to be heard.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right, Bob, you got this next comment from our good friend.
Yes, from Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers. He is a friend of the show and a righteous brother. And he has a pretty cool comment here. He says, we can buy the comics we request from our comic shops. Novel idea. It's an incredibly common occurrence for shops to get stuck with hundreds or even thousands of dollars of product from a subscriber that stops picking up their books in special orders. This is an industry-wide problem. Pull lists are a great way to let an LCS know what books to order, but the downside is when customers don't buy their books. Shops are forced to cancel somebody's pull list and then get stuck with tons of books that will now just sit in a warehouse or a long box. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but it adds up, and a lot of small businesses can't keep up with just eating that cost. When the direct market suffers, the industry suffers. That is a great comment.
Yeah. Pop Culture Philosopher is Robbie. Mm-hmm. He's a manager of a comic book shop. Mm-hmm. Okay? He works at a comic shop 5, 6, 7 days a week. I don't know exactly, but he's there all the time.
Yeah.
Not only that, he reads almost every comic that comes out. Okay, he's educating himself every single week. If you guys want to check out his channel, I'll put a link down below to check it out. It's one of the best comic book channels that there is.
Absolutely.
Buy your books. If you have your pull list, buy the books. Buy them the day Wednesday, or buy them at least buy them that week, because those comic shops really depend on that money, because that money goes out every week. Every week they have a brand new order that they have to pay for.
That's right.
So they need that money. That's their bread and butter, to get that money in to recycle and get new books for the next Wednesday.
Absolutely.
The books keep on coming every week. Every Wednesday there's new books. If we take a break or don't show up and don't buy our books, we are hurting these small businesses.
Right.
And every comic book shop, except maybe 2 or 3, is a small business. To be honest, nobody gets into the comic book industry as far as a comic shop to make $1 million.
No.
It just doesn't happen. We have to do our part. Our part is find the books we like, add them to our pull list. We get a discount for the most part. You know, I get a discount, you get a discount.
Yep.
I think for the most part, everyone tends to get a discount at their local LCS. Take advantage of that. Get
Absolutely.
those books. Buy those books. Give that money back, and don't forget buy some back issues.
Yeah,
because those are just sitting there as well. Buy some of those. But I cannot tell you. I've gone in the shops and I'll look and I'll see a box and there is a stack of books in that box. I'm like, dude, I go, that guy has a bunch of books. He goes, no, he just hasn't picked up in like 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you keep on ordering them? If I was a comic shop owner, I would give like a 2-week thing, or a month maybe, depending on. You have to pick up your book by the time the next one comes out.
Right.
If there's Spider-Man number 30, you have to pick that up before 31 comes out. Right. That should be the time frame. I think that's reasonable.
It should be reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the hobby and you're doing this on a regular basis, you're going to the comic shop every week. If it's one of those things where you're going less frequently, that's okay too. But the key is communication.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to be picking up my books this week. Just give them a call.
Yeah, that helps out.
I'm going on vacation for a month. Maybe you want to stop my order, during that time, or hold them for me until I get there. But to let books stack up, especially when you've got more than the initial 3 that you normally put for a pull list, if you got 4 or 5, even 10 books, that adds up really quickly. And with the cost of comics nowadays, that is no small cost.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, it's not like it used to be. Don't assume because you see new issues on the racks. Don't assume that, the comic shop's already buying these to put out there anyway. It's not like it used to be, folks. It used to be they would buy a bunch of comics and they wouldn't be on the hook for those books. They would sell, what they would, and the rest of them they'd tear the covers and send them back, and then they'd only pay for what they actually use. It's not like that. They have to pre-order what they're going to sell in their shops, and most of those pre-orders are going to come from those subscription boxes.
Yeah.
The rest of them they may buy a few to put on the racks. Because there's always people who are going to come in. They're going to want to buy copies. But just because they have those copies out there doesn't mean, if I don't pick up my books, it's just going to be added to the rest. No, that comic shop really relies on you picking up your books. Yeah. So,
on the other hand, this kind of goes to the pull list and the comic shop, and I will speak to the comic shop owners. Make sure you're taking care of your customers, your pull list customers.
Absolutely.
If they have a book on their list that they've been picking up for the last year, and all of a sudden that issue 13 is a hot book or a spec book or whatnot, that's going for 3 times cover price before it hits the stands, do the right thing. Take care of that pull list customer. Put that book in their box for the regular cover price.
Right.
If you have extra books, mark them up.
There you go.
Mark them. You should. Take advantage of that. But your pull list customers that come in there week after week that buy your books, take care of them first.
Absolutely.
All right, I got the next one here, and this is from Ed Blackwell. And Ed says, I'll answer your question with a question. What happened to the comic book spinner? When I first started getting and buying comics, you were able to buy them at the grocery store, convenience store, and drugstore. Now comic collectors have only 2 options, LCS or online. And places like where I live, I can only buy online. Point being, publishers should make the product more available. Don't want the business to crash. More buyers, collectors would be a good start. As of those of us that are buying and collecting, we need to not encourage publishers to print millions of copies of the single comic. Lower print runs is what makes a good collectible. There's a few things in there. One thing, I'll just get this, I don't think, they're not printing millions of comics anymore as far as a single print run.
Right.
They used to, and that led to the crash in the 90s because there were so many printed.
Yep.
The print runs are a lot smaller these days, which is kind of nice, and that kind of helps prevent any type of crash from happening just because there is a smaller print run.
Right.
But he brings up a great point in the beginning. What happened to the comic book spinner rack? Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I do. Actually, what ended up happening is, number one, most of those convenience stores, like a 7-Eleven or a thrifty store or whatever it was, those spinner racks were there. It wasn't those stores actually buying those comic books. It was the independent distributors coming in and displaying them and selling them just like they would any other type of shop. And so they would basically sell what they would. The rest of them they'd get credit for back from the publisher. And half of those books, when they would come in, they'd get mangled because those spinner racks weren't a great place to keep them. And when that type of market dried up in the industry, those type of things went away from going into those stores.
The main reason why they're not in grocery stores or convenient or drug stores is because of Diamond.
That's a good point.
I did a little bit of research. I looked it up. Diamond is the main reason why. They found that direct market, straight to comic shops, is more profitable than going through the drug stores, because like you just mentioned, how they would get credit or what they rip off the cover.
Right.
They do not offer that to comic book stores. So Diamond would get the full money. That is the reason why we do not see them in convenience stores anymore.
Right.
Because it's not the same system. We have one distributor, Diamond, who monopolizes the market.
Pretty much.
And because of them is the main reason why we do not see comic books in our local 7-Eleven, in our drugstore, in the grocery store. You started buying comics from a convenience store probably, right?
I did.
I started buying comics because I saw them at a drugstore.
Yeah, for me it was a newsstand, actually.
Newsstand, there you go. That option isn't available anymore, and it's not going to be available. Walmart is now doing some books, which is kind of nice. That might appeal to some people or whatnot, because they're getting DC and Marvel, I believe.
Right.
Little packs. It's not the same as what it was before when we'd find the individual issues and stuff like that. And
right.
A brand new book. But the main reason why we don't have those, and it's very sad, is because of Diamond. Diamond got out of that market, got out of those, and went directly to the comic shops. They can charge more money. They don't have to refund books. And it's a shame, because what that does, it cuts off new consumers that are casual buyers that are sitting in the checkout line, and they look up on the stand, and instead of the Vogue magazine, they don't have the option to see, oh, there's Spider-Man.
Right.
That option used to be there. That drove new customers, new kids. Kids would buy books because they'd see them. Mommy, get me this book. It's not there anymore.
No. You used to see it inside of bus stops and airports as well.
Yeah.
And it's just not there.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that happened, and until, I don't know if it ever changes. I think that Diamond has such a, and they were, the government actually looked into them as far as a monopoly type thing, and they never went through with anything. But they actually investigated them when they kind of took over and started doing everything. I wish there was more than one distributor out there.
I do. There are a couple of smaller distributors, but they nowhere near have the power that Diamond does, and they do offer some pretty unique packages as far as getting books to you, because they want to generate more business. But they just can't compete.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's really a shame. When I did a little bit of research to find that out, because I thought it was a good question, and that's kind of what I thought. I was like, it's got to do something with Diamond. And before I even read anything about it, and sure enough, that's the name that pops up.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is. So, all right, Bob, you're up next. We got our good friend Logan Lumpkins.
Logan, thank you very much.
He's got a great comment. We had to read this one.
We did. Love this. Logan says, this is a great topic. I don't know if taking these steps will stop the crash, but I believe they could add years to the industry. Number 1, advocate for the medium and your LCS. Be their unpaid sponsorship. Don't be afraid to show/talk comics on your personal social media accounts. Tweet/tag your favorite artists, writers, and YouTubers. You're a comic book missionary. Evangelize. I've led at least a dozen of my friends to comics via Instagram/Twitter.
Nice.
That's awesome. Number 2, he says, support what you love, even if it's not the best you've ever read. I love that comment. He said, try to have a pull list for at least 3 ongoing titles at all times. It may not be the best series ever, but there's always incredible writers and artists behind the current people in the spotlight who deserve their shot. I agree with that.
Yep.
Number 3, he said, avoid the negative sphere surrounding comic books. I think this is really important. I'll say it again. Avoid the negative sphere surrounding comic books. It's okay to share your thoughts on certain books, but if all people hear is your negativity towards comic books, they will never buy into the medium. They'll just stick to the Marvel movies. He puts that in quotes. I like that. And then the fourth one, and this is the best, right here. He said, sleep on your left side. It allows your heart to pump blood easier, aids digestion, reduces heartburn, boosts brain health, and reduces your chances of developing sleep apnea. I love that. And then he goes on to say that last one had nothing to do with comic books, but it is a fun fact that could potentially add a few years to your life. Gotta keep the comic community healthy.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Thank you, Logan.
And just so you know, Logan Lumpkins, if he's not already a doctor, he's in medical school or has been in medical school.
That's what you were telling me. That's awesome stuff.
Very cool. So he's looking out for our health. And trust me, for comic book collectors, health is a very important thing.
For sure, because most of us are just sitting around.
Yeah, I think our average lifespan is not on the average as other people, so what are you going to do? But he raises some great points.
Yeah,
and just like advocating for your LCS and just for the medium of comics themselves. Spreading the love. Letting people know that, hey, these stories that you see in the movies, they're not original.
That's right.
Okay? There is something that these are based from that are better. And I'll just they are better.
They are much better.
The books themselves are better than the movies. Believe it or not, the books are better than the movies.
Yeah.
The movies are great. Don't get me wrong. But the books are better.
Absolutely.
And they're accurate. So, because they are the written word of the comic itself.
Right. The true canon.
Yeah. Movies take liberties and stuff, and they're flashy and great and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But the books are better. And there's so many stories that have never been shared on the big screen or small screen. Hundreds, thousands of stories that are just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That are being passed by. They can only make so many movies. I mean, it seems like they make a ton of movies, but really, if you take the percentage of movies and compare them to the great stories that are in comics, it's not even close.
Right.
It's like 1% type thing.
Sure.
They're never going to run out of stuff to make movies on or TV shows on. There's so much content that's there. We need to share that knowledge with the people that like the movies.
Absolutely.
I mean, you like Black Panther? Oh, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. Go read this. Go check this out. Look how cool this looks, you know.
Right. We
We have to be like you said, the missionary or the evangelize or whatever. What's it called?
Evangelize.
We need to be that person. I take it upon myself all the time to share my love and passion for comics with people who might not feel the same way. But I think it's infectious. And I think I can be in a room and talk to someone who doesn't know anything about comics. I'm pretty sure I can sell them on going and buying their first comic.
Absolutely. Yeah, the movies actually has been a gateway for me to open up comics and show them how much better comics can be. Case in point, if you got some people who have, they know who Spider-Man is, they know who the X-Men are, and they know who the Hulk is, and they know all these different characters, and they're used to seeing them inside the movies, and you tell them comic books, right, whether you know it or not, can blow that stuff out of the water. There's a few people that I've given the graphic novel of the full run of Old Man Logan.
Nice.
Right? And, when they see the Logan movie, which is great, right? let me show you what comics actually did with that storyline. And they come back and were completely blown away by it. Instant comic book fans. Yeah. My nephew, he read it, and he can't get enough comic books now. Yeah. And so, the comic book medium is so much better than the movie. The movies are low-hanging fruit, right? You can go so much deeper and get so much good content, so many good stories, and it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The movies open the door.
They do.
And it's up to us to sell the stuff that's in the store.
Absolutely.
And I take that upon us all, whether we're just collectors or shop owners or people on YouTube. It's up to us to sell this medium more so now than ever before.
Absolutely. And, you don't have to rely upon your local store either. There are people who set up meetups, right? Go to your local coffee shop. And I'm going to be doing that here pretty soon. local Portlanders, let's meet up over at the comic shop on new comic book day, and let's bring our comics, have some coffee, talk about comics, and show off what we got that day.
Did you know there's actually is a couple groups in Portland that do that?
Do they really?
Yeah, there's like meetup groups that are comic book artists and writers that get together like every week at a place downtown Portland.
That's awesome.
And collectors as well. I've been invited to a couple. I've never been to them. I need to do a little bit more research on them.
For sure.
But yeah, it's kind of cool.
But it's same idea. Or there is a shop out here that creates kind of like a mini Comic-Con called the Frankenstein Swap. And I love that venue, right?
Yeah.
It's just a room full of people in long boxes, but there's many things that you can do to advocate for the medium that isn't, just relying upon something else to do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I got the next one as well. This one is from your friendly neighborhood banker.
All right.
Nice. Says, I'm 35 years old. What has me worried is in 30 years, whether the only people interested in buying any of my books are just going to be another bunch of 65-year-olds. Young people need to be encouraged to read books and feel there are many, many factors that is preventing that from happening. Those of us with kids need to have copies of great stories that we are willing to have completely ruined and bent and annihilated so that our kids can enjoy them the way we did. When I was a junior in high school, I had a copy of Maximum Carnage graphic novel. There are so many friends of mine and classmates that I lent that book to that now when I look at it, it looks like it was put through the meat grinder. That book was loved, not just kept in pristine condition. I think I helped create at least 3 permanent comic collectors that year just by sharing what was precious to me. The condition of some of our books needs to be sacrificed so that they can be fully enjoyed by the next generation, which will overall maintain and even enhance over time the value of our collections. Okay, I know what he's talking about. My Batman Dark Knight book, it looks like a meat grinder book.
Yeah.
It's been read so many, the graphic novel, it's
Right.
been read so many times. I've shared it with people, I gave it out. I've had it since the day it came out.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with it being mangled, I guess. He raises a great question about I'm 35 years old now. In 30 years, who's going to like my books?
Right.
I worry about that too. Will the interest still be there in 30 years? When I'm 65 or 75 or like when you're 95, will there still be interest in these books
Right.
that I have in my collection? I don't know the answer. My kids don't necessarily have tremendous amount of interest. They might have the interest in the dollar value if there's some, dollars to be made. But I do worry about that. And I think what he said, that we have to sacrifice some of our books to get kids interested. For one, I think people put too much emphasis on the condition of their books. I'm a low condition guy, and I don't mind it one bit. If I can save a buck or two and get a lower grade comic, and enjoy the book, it's just as good to me as a near mint condition for the same price. It doesn't make a difference to me, and I think most people kind of know that about me. So I don't mind sacrificing a book for someone to read it and enjoy it if it creates a new collector. I think there is too much emphasis on the near mint type thing, and that's actually going to be a conversation down the road that we have about grading and stuff like that. And that'll be an interesting one because I know we're the opposite on this. But sharing your books is a big thing. Just sharing your collection, sharing a good story to a younger generation. There's some newer YouTubers out there right now, Hero and the Kid, we talked about them. Seeing a younger kid get into comics right now, awesome. I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. I wish my kids were younger. They're older now, and they don't listen to me. But I wish I could get them in the comics. And it's probably not going to happen. But you have to share your stuff. And I would say, like he said, don't worry too much about the condition. Just say, hey, read this book. If you like it, you know what? If he takes the book and he folds it in half and sticks it in his back pocket, more power to him. I did the same thing.
I did too.
And I fell in love with comics.
For sure.
There you go.
No, I think that's a great point. And, I get too caught up in that myself, trying to, keep books in pristine condition.
Yeah, you do.
But also at the same time, I try to use the books to fund the rest of my collecting, the rest of my investing, and so I do have some of a vested interest in keeping books in pristine condition. But at the same time, when good stories come out, I've got to be able to share that. I've got to be able to share my enthusiasm. I've got to be able to share my love and say, here, check this out. I think the biggest bane for kids nowadays, as far as getting into this medium, the main number one blocker is this, right? Phones, social media, making things very easy. Watching something is much easier than picking up a book and reading it. And that's going to be our biggest hurdle in turning newer readers, especially younger readers, onto the medium.
So you're saying that, do we focus more on digital? I mean, is that something that, do we have to bite the bullet? I mean, we're sitting here and we're advocates for the paper, the physical book. Mm-hmm. But in order for the industry maybe to keep thriving or going forward, should we focus more on digital? Will that bring more of an audience in? I think it would. Even though it's not what I prefer.
Right.
But it might grow the market. It might grow more people. I think there's more people that would be interested in going digital and then turning into a physical copy. I have this digital book. I love it. I read it. I want to get the real thing.
Right. I mean, that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
We're talking about what can we do to help save the industry, right, if there's a crash coming. And biting the bullet is one of those things that I think is a great point.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can to get that great story into that new reader's hand.
Yeah.
Whether that be digital, whether it be your pristine books, whether it be going out and buying a trade paperback, whatever it takes, spread the love, man.
Yeah. All right, you're up next, Bob. This is Freddie P.
Freddie P., thank you very much for the comment. He says, I think we as consumers can help a good bit to prevent another crash. If we don't repeat the ideas of the 90s, that is my retirement plan, so I'm going to buy all the copies of so-and-so titles in town. I think it's all right to pick up 2 or 3 copies just in case the book blows up, or if you want to spend a little extra on some variants or ratios. But to make it simple, pick up the book you like, drop it from your pull list if the story gets too stale. Pick it back up when another story arc gets good, but don't buy 1,000+ of the books expecting to live off those books 30 years down the road. Thanks, Bueller, for another great show.
Freddie, I like Freddie. Freddie's got a great comment right there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We've all sit there when we were younger. We're going to buy all these books and we're going to retire on these books.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. None of us want to get rid of our books.
Nope.
We are attached to these books. I mean, very rarely do you find someone who's just like, man, I can't wait to sell my collection.
Nope, they hoard it.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So as far as, buying a bunch of books, thinking that you're going to sell them when you get older, it's probably not going to happen. It hasn't happened to this. I mean, there are some, don't get me wrong, there are some people out there that do it. But for the most part, the people I talk to, they love their books.
Yeah.
And they like having them. And they don't want to sell them. And more than likely, their kids aren't interested, like I said about mine, in their books. So they just keep adding more and more to their collection.
Right.
But that being said, he mentioned the fact that people would go around, they'd store to store and buy all the copies of the books. That's a tough scenario because it's doing 2 things. For one, it's helping out the comic shop because they're not going to be stuck with some books.
True.
That they might be stuck with. But for 2, it also is hurting because if someone goes in and buys the 10 copies, one person gets 10 copies and the other 9 people that come in that want to get that book, they don't get it. So the advertising isn't there.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope. I don't really know the answer. I've had this conversation before many times with people. Should I limit how many products they buy? Mm-hmm. Yes and no. You don't want to get stuck with them.
Nope.
Okay. But yet you want to be able to have that book for someone who comes in the next day.
Right.
I don't know how they do it. It's a hard question to answer, and there's maybe a medium in the middle there, but it's really it's good and bad at the same time. So.
I mean, I've thought about why doesn't an LCS maybe if somebody wants that many copies of a book, that's something you got to pre-order. If you want 10 or more copies, put that on your pull list. Let me know you want that many of that copy. Here's a copy of previews. You can see what's coming out. let me know you want 10 or 15 copies of it.
Yeah, but a lot of times you don't know.
You don't know until...
You don't know. Oh, did you hear that book?
Until the buzz comes.
It's got Wolverine's daughter. And you gotta call the shops to see if somebody has it.
There we go. He's using my example.
I don't know what he's talking about. Give me a break. Ridiculous.
But when I called, right? I mean, yeah, they only had...
That was you?
That was me.
Yeah.
Right? There was only 1 or 2 copies, right? But even if they would have had 10, I wouldn't have taken all 10.
Yeah.
You know, to me, that's just bad etiquette. But there are some people out there who will take every single copy on that rack, and then you leave people without the possibility of getting those books.
It's like the penny thing at the counter. Take a copy, leave a copy.
There you go.
There you go. Take a copy, leave a copy. That's the new rule of thumb.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Okay, I got the last comment here. This next one is from Eric Mina. Possibly asking your local LCS to have more artists come to the community for meet and greets, for book signings. Getting more publicity on your favorite books. Maybe reading your favorite comics online and showing the artwork. Something to draw attention to the market and helps kids reading comics again. I like anything with interacting with people who are in the industry. Creators, artists, writers. Anytime they can get out and kind of sell their book goes a long way.
Absolutely.
If you meet the person you're reading this book, and you meet that person, you have a connection with them, and you're more apt to want to stay with their book. I met that guy. I'm going to support that guy. Here he is. These creators are not making a lot of money.
No.
They're not millionaires. I mean, there's a few of them.
Sure.
But for the most part, they're struggling artists and writers, and some of them got picked up by the big studios, and some have been dropped or whatnot, But you get a chance to meet them and learn about their books and what they're passionate about. We're lucky because we get to meet a lot of them because there's a lot in our area.
That's for sure.
And every time I meet one, I feel more connected and more wanting to buy their book. There's some comic shops that do a great job with this, and they get... creators in all the time for signings. And there's other comic shops that don't even consider it. That's a mistake that they're making.
Yeah.
Because, especially locally, I can guarantee you that if some of the comic shops don't offer this, if they just took the time to set it up, these creators would be more than happy to come and do a signing at their shop.
Absolutely.
Especially if you have a nice shop. You go in, it's a nice shop, looks good, it presents well. Of course you want to go in there and promote your book type thing. I think more shops need to do this. I think it's an event that drives things. Make comics an event. We have to advertise comics, okay? And this is what he's talking about there is basically advertising in a personal form. Marvel and DC, they don't advertise comic books. There are no advertisements, okay? I mean, there's advertisements in books, okay? They have movies. They have television shows. When's the last time you saw a commercial for the comic book coming out in reference to the TV show that you're watching? When's the last time you saw a movie and there was an advertisement before the movie about the comic book that references the movie? They don't spend money on advertising outside of the comic book itself.
Right.
That's a problem.
It is a problem.
I don't know why they do that. They have it available to them at honestly no cost whatsoever. They can put that in there. It's their show. It's their movie. They can put it in there and drive the sales. Why they don't do that, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. The opposite happens. I can flip through a Marvel book and find you advertisements for every TV show that's going on, for every movie that's out every single month. Same thing for DC.
Right.
Why it doesn't translate the other way around makes no sense, and they need to fix it. I'm talking to Marvel and DC right now. Advertise your books.
Please.
More so than just in the books. Advertise them. Spend some money. You'll be surprised what it does. It'll bring in new readers. Oh, that's a comic book? I should go get it.
Absolutely.
Advertise your graphic novels. Advertise them outside of comic books. Use it. It's there. It's available to them. That's it.
That's right. Create buzz. Create new readers. I mean, this is on you just as much as it is on us.
Yeah.
And so I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's our conversation, and we'll probably go back to it eventually down the road again because there's so many comments on this, and it's a great topic, and we love getting feedback. That being said, let me tell you guys, like I said at the beginning, next week's episode is our 2-year anniversary for Comics with Bueller, and that'll be episode 70 of the new Coffee and Comic Show. And our topic for next week is, and this is something kind of special, the topic is, what got you into comics? What is your origin story? I've shared mine a few times on my channel. I'll probably revisit that. Bob has shared his on his channel.
Yep. We'll
probably revisit that as well. I have had countless of wonderful comments and emails and just letters of people's story, how they got into comic books.
Yeah.
What it means to them. What it means to them before and what it means to them now and all this stuff. And I love hearing every single one of them.
Me too.
And a lot of them, honestly, are very similar.
Yeah.
And we all share this great thing. So that's going to be the question. What got you into comics? What is your origin story? And basically, what do comics mean to you?
Right.
That's kind of what we want to hear from you guys. So if you want to leave a comment down below in this video, you can. Go ahead and do so. And also, we'll ask that question on the preview video that comes out on Wednesday. You can leave a comment on that one as well.
Right.
But I think that'll be a great conversation to have. So.
Absolutely. And you know, if we don't use your comment inside of the video, it doesn't mean we didn't like your comment. We just have so many comments that we have to go through, and we can only pick a few.
There you go.
And so, but we're going to have a lot of fun with this one. I can't wait for it.
Yeah,
I love those stories.
Really good. Okay, let's get to our final 5. Yeah. This is a long video. Here, these are yours.
Yeah,
these are little weird books.
Weird books. There we go. All right. Do you want me to go with mine?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool deal. All right, I'm going to go with the X-Men Black. I got X-Men Black Juggernaut. I showed these on my video the other night.
Nice.
Really like these books. I got X-Men Black Mojo. Love me some Mojo. X-Men Black Emma Frost. Yeah. And then X-Men Black Mystique.
Nice.
And then my favorite of the 5, X-Men Black Magneto. And all 5 of those covers done by J. Scott Campbell.
Yeah, you know who wrote the Magneto one?
Who?
Claremont.
Is he really?
I don't know. It probably says on the cover.
It probably does too. I didn't know.
Am I right?
Nope. Kelly Thompson. Nope. Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont wrote it, but the Apocalypse part inside of there is Kelly Thompson.
Half and half.
Half and half.
All right. So I have some independent titles that I picked up recently. Some of the ones I really enjoy. Olympia #3. Love this book. Both of us read it. This is one of our favorite books, I believe. Gideon Falls #1. This is the director's cut. I want to jump on this. I've just been recently picking up some of these.
Nice.
Magic Order #1. Another one that's supposed to be really good. I just got a couple of these as well. Prodigy #1. This one is also supposed to be really good. I just got a bunch of independent books just recently.
Nice.
And Beyonders #1 by Aftershock. And actually my son, this is one of my son's favorite books. He actually read the graphic novel. And somehow I picked up the first issue. I don't even know where I got it. But
yeah.
Sometimes comics just show up. And they're like, where'd this come from? And there it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome. But, I mean, love that. I mean, a lot of the independent books are coming out with a lot of great stuff right now. And, man, great Final 5.
Yep, I like them. Okay, let me go ahead and recognize the Patreons who are supporting the channel. And we have Reggie Simmons. This is double G Reggie Simmons. Brett F, thank you. Comic Ron, thank you. Adam D, Jose A, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to use last names, so I'm just kind of abbreviating. You got it. Zach K, John M, Damian K, Robert Galvin, we all know Robert, Pete C, and Mike R, and then somebody just donated straight to my PayPal, and that was Han C, and he just said, this is for Patreon, but straight to the PayPal type thing.
Nice.
So, thank you, Han C, appreciate that. But those are our Patreon supporters. I want to say thank you so much. Like I said, the official launch of the Patreon isn't until next week. There's nothing on there right now. It's literally just a paragraph, and that's about it. I'm going to put some stuff on there. If you want to support the channel, you're more than welcome to. But officially, it starts up next week, and we'll talk about that more on the 2-year anniversary. So
Sounds
it should
great.
be good. I think we covered everything. I think it was a good show. It's probably a long show. I can already tell by looking at the timer. It's going to be a nice long show yet again.
I think that's great.
But tune in next week, like I said, for our 2-year anniversary. We'll probably be at 9,000 subscribers by that day, so that's going to be really cool. It's just been a blast. 2 years.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Me too.
All right, everyone. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And hopefully you have a good week. And thanks again for all the support. It's awesome. So I can't complain one bit. It's been a great 2 years, and I'm looking forward to at least 2 more.
Come on.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.